This will be a short sort of guide into how to install Sagemath and how to get the Jupyter notebook running on your local computer. So there are several ways to install Sagemath, but we'll stick with the simplest one, which goes using Conda, and not just Conda, but Miniconda. Miniconda is much easier to work with, and it's a quicker install than Anaconda. So what you do is you go into docs.conda.io, and then you click Miniconda. You click Mac OSX installers, and the simplest thing to do is to just pull this PKG file here instead of using the bash one, because that requires you to be able to run it yourself in bash. So we're going to be running Python 3, which is the current version of Python. Ever since 1st of January, Python 2 is no longer supported, and Sagemath itself will drop Python 2 support, I think, from Sagemath 9.2, and it's 9.1 right now. So what you do is just you download this PKG file. It will take a little while to download. It's not very big. It's only 60 megabytes. So what you do then is that you open this PKG file. So let me just switch sharing here. So if you open this PKG file, you will find that you enter into an installation instruction that looks like this. So basically, you just go through this thing, and once it's done, we can move on to the next step. Okay, so now that we have Miniconda installed, let's go on to installing Sage using Miniconda. So we start by going to sagemath.org, and then going to download, and then install guide. So once you come here to the install guide, since this is guide for Mac OS X, we are going to first install from, we're going to click the Conda Forge, install from Conda Forge. So what you need to do is basically you need to run a few commands. So first you need to run this command, conda config add channels and conda forge channel, which is the basically repository for experimental packages. And then what we do next is that we create an environment for Sage and then install Sage in that environment. We don't need to prescribe the version of Python because we're going to use the standard version of Python, which is for Sagemath 9 and above, it's going to be Python 3. So we're just going to run this command. And once that's done, we can do conda activate Sage, and then we can start Sage. So let's look at how this would be done. Okay, so we open a terminal for the next steps, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to basically add the channel conda forge. So basically, you would just copy this precisely, and it's going to say that I already have conda forge because I've done this before. So, but basically, you would run that. And the next thing is to run conda create sage. Okay. So let me try this. So basically, you have to wait. It's going to do some things. So it will take a while for it to solve its environment, but once it's done, you're gonna come to see something like this. So basically, what you do is just press enter to proceed. And then this is going to take a while. So basically it's going to start downloading all these packages and proceed with the installation. So basically I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so for me, it looks a bit different because I already had all these packages downloaded since I've done this before. You will have to wait a bit longer. You will see also a long list of things that have been downloaded. But basically when it's done, you're going to see something like this. So what we can do now is that we can enter into the environment that's been created. So Conda creates these environments, and you can basically jump in and out of these environments using Conda activate. So you can see here that I am in the base environment, and let's go into the Sage environment. Okay, now we're in the Sage environment. So once we're in here, the Sagemath is going to be installed. So basically we can run Sage. And it's going to tell us we're running Sagemath 9.1. We have a Python version 3.78. And this gives you basically a command line version of Sage. So you can do stuff like 1 + 1. You can say that f of x equals x squared. And then you can do f. So g of x is f punct derivative. Then you can see what is g. Well, it's 2x, so it actually did differentiate the right way. So, I mean, you can evaluate it at some point. You get the derivative at 3 is 6, and so on. And if you want to go out of this prompt, you can do exit. So using this, you can basically do a lot of things even without notebooks. You can just do things directly here. Plotting should also work, and yeah, basically that's Sagemath. And now we'll just go over how to utilize the course material and how to start a notebook. Okay, so for me, since I downloaded these start kit from the course website, it ended up in downloads, and it's called First Lecture and Data. So if I go into that folder, basically what I'm going to see is the notebooks and the data folder and the images folder. So what we're going to do now is inside this folder actually start a Jupyter notebook that is based on Sage. So basically all we need to type is sage-n and then upyter. Then we run that. It's gonna start a web browser. The standard web browser for me, that's Safari. So let's change the image. So basically this is what you're gonna see when it opens. And as you can see here, we have these two notebooks, and let's see that things work. So let's open the first notebook. So here you can see the notebooks that we'll be using for the course. We can take the first cell and run that cell, and it seems to be running fine. We can also take the second cell, which does a bit more. Basically, it's downloading some files from the internet, doing an analysis, and basically doing linear regression, and then doing some fancy plots. So let's see that this works. That seems to work, and the interactivity seems to work as well. Yeah, that works fine. So yeah, so we can also try to do a bit more. So we'll go back, we go to home. We take the second one and see that this one works. So let's try maybe this thing, right? That works. And here we have all the notebooks. We can try to run all of these things, but basically, yeah, So we're basically set up to run the course material so that you can play along with the notebooks that we will do during the lectures. So hopefully everything works well for you to run this setup. And if you have any questions, you can ask them in the forum on the course website. So thank you.